morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Friday, February 9th, 2018.
Commissioner Repenning, James Davison has sent to our President James, we have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Tim Tyson, Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Eddie Puste, Bureau of Sanitation.
Good morning, Larry Hsu with Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Angelica Samayoa with the Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we did receive a speaker card under general public comment today. We do not have any commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section. We also received speaker cards on items number 1, 3, 4, 9, and 10.
Agenda item number 8, specifications submitted for board adoption and authorization to, well, first of all, let's just close the Neighborhood Council category of commentary. We'll go to general public comment in a moment. Agenda item number 8, specifications submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids, Council Districts 1, 3, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, and 15 for the Enhanced Metropolitan Transit Authority Security Lighting Project. The bid receipt date is March 21, 2018, and the estimate is $376,000. Is there a second to my motion that we adopt agenda item number 8 forthwith by Commissioner Repenning and Commissioner Jacinto? Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Let's go ahead and take general public comment. Dr. Tom Williams.
Good morning. Dr. Tom Williams, Sierra Club Transportation Committee, Citizens Coalition for a Safe Community, and Neighborhood Council Emeritus. But anyway, a comment was made this morning regarding the fact that it's only a single-sided printing. And the comment was, it doesn't mean much. Well, I apply that to the curb cuts in 90032. And the fact that we still are arguing over a 2-inch versus 1-inch lip. But that's one thing. There's other things such as, thank you, Public Works, for repaving the bike lanes along Mission Road and part of Huntington Drive. Thank you, thank you, thank you. However, last week, one woman was killed by a car in a bike lane in El Sereno. It was her first one. And she's a mother of 4. That's impact. So we're quite concerned regarding Vision Zero and its survival. We're quite concerned about bike lanes. I used to ride a bike, 1958 to 62, and I came off of it a couple times, but thank God I was never hit. I have given up trying to figure out the current slaughter of bicyclists by cars going too fast. So thank you for the bike lane. I hope nobody gets killed this year. Curb cuts. In our area, because of my PRA, I've been asked to identify, and we got a lot of them. We also have at least 15 people
2 minutes
who meet every week for a game of basketball in wheelchairs in our Barrio Action Gymnasium. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. That'll close general public comment. Is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes from the meeting of Monday, January 22nd, 2018 by Commissioner Repenning? Any objection? Without objection, we will approve those meeting minutes. Agenda item number 1, Council District 12, Bureau of Engineering, Task Order Solicitation number 32, Granada Hills Recreation Center Pool and Bathhouse Replacement Project, recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to issue the task to Sperano Mooney Architecture Incorporated from the pre-qualified on-call architectural and related professional services consultants list to provide design services for the project as stated in the task order solicitation number 32 with a budget authority of $700,000, which includes contingency. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. President and Commissioner. My name is Alex Nago with the Bureau of Engineering Architecture Division. I'm here to request the board to authorize the city engineer to issue task order to Sperano Moni Architects to design the pool and bathhouse for the Granada Hills Recreation Center. The budget authority is $700,000 with contingency. In July 26th of this year, we briefed Commissioner Jacksino for the preliminary briefing. Council District number 12 wanted the project to proceed expeditiously. So we advised the commissioner to allow us to issue an NTP under $100,000 to Sperano Muni to start the schematic design right away. That amount is part of the overall design which identified in this report. 5 out of the 25 firms have submitted the proposal for this project. We evaluate all the proposal and determined that Sperano Moni was the most qualified architect to deliver this job in a timely manner for us. The architects pledge 25% for MBE and 10% for WBE. That's good.
Those are good numbers. So I will just, Alex, I'll just kind of pile on to your comment about the council office wanted us to expedite it because they called me last night wanting to make sure that we knew that they supported it and offering to send somebody from their field office this morning, and I said I didn't think that would be necessary for them to do that. So you're exactly right about their interest in this moving forward this morning. We'll start with Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James. I just was going to second your comment about the great numbers. It can be done on these types of projects. Thank you for the report, Alex. In terms of almost 26% and 11% women business enterprise is good when we advertise at 18 and 4. So it can be done. We're going to encourage all our firms and all our primes and to be able to achieve diversity in building Los Angeles. We have to get this project online by 2020 for the residents and for the quality of life that we need in more recreational facilities to keep people in communities and active and engaged. So thank you. I support this. Ready to go on this.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto. Commissioner Davis.
Yeah, I wanted to say that I appreciate the effort that is put in the hard work towards our MBE and our WBE numbers, because when we go out to do these construction projects, I don't care what department or bureau it is in, these are examples as to how we can achieve diversity. And yeah, it's difficult work, but when we work hard, we can achieve it. Right. There is a base of people out there that will help us to give us what you have given us today. Now, I understand and realize in other areas we have had some difficulty with certain diverse groups being certified. But again, I think you proved today that if we work very hard and if our contractors begin to share our values, that we can achieve what you have achieved today. So I thank you for the effort.
Thank you.
Thank you. Was that a motion by Commissioner Jacinto and a second by Commissioner Davis?
Yes, sir.
Okay, any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 1. Any issues sending it forthwith? We'll send it forthwith. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Agenda item number 2, above ground facility hardship waiver, 3972 West 9th Street. Recommending that the board approve the request for the hardship waiver from the below grade requirement of the Los Angeles Municipal Code section 62082A and authorize AT&T to install a fiber optic cabinet for high-speed internet service in the public right-of-way adjacent to 3972 West 9th Street. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Hui Huang, and I am with the Bureau of Engineering Central District. AT&T submitted an application in July 2017 for the installation of one fiber optic cabinet. This is in a residential zone inside City 4. During the review for the conformance of the above ground facility ordinance, we determined that the application was satisfactory. We received 0 opposition, and Council District 4 remained neutral. The reason for today's board report is for a hardship waiver of the Wilshire Park Historic Preservation Overlay Zone for the requirement of undergrounding the installation. The reason for not undergrounding the item is due to the fact that there's not enough room between the curve face and the property line to install an underground vault. We received 1 recommendation from the City Planning Department to approve this hardship waiver and the installation of the item. We also looked into the opportunity for aerial installation and for co-location, and that was not an option. At this point, I can take any questions you have.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions at all on agenda item number 2? Commissioner Repenning.
Can you just describe what this looks like? The photo we have is kind of hard to see.
I truly apologize for that. I know what you're talking about. We'll do a better job next time on the simulation. But if you look at page number 3, the second photo, because the cabinet is white on a white background, it's hard to see, but it's about 40 inches high installation of a fiber cabinet. And on the first photo shows the orange cone of the location.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 2, seconded by Commissioner Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 2. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any issue sending number 2 forthwith? We will send number 2 forthwith. Agenda item number 5 is a requested contract award, Council Districts 4, 5, and 10, Secondary Sewer Renewal Program, Hollywood Wilshire Planning Area, recommending that the board declare Ramona Incorporated to the first low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder, and award Ramona a contract for the project for $4,769,397, and authorize myself or 2 members of the board to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. Ms. Thomas, good morning.
Good morning. Mary Thomas from Bureau of Engineering, Wastewater Conveyance Engineering Division. The SSRP Darrow 5 Hollywood Wilshire Planning Area project will remove and replace or rehabilitate approximately 5.4 reach miles of sewers ranging from sizes 6 to 12 inches. This project is in Council Districts 4, 5, and 10. We received 4 bids on November 15, 2017. The lowest bid received was $4,769,397, 27.32% above the city engineer's estimate. As part of the Business Inclusion Outreach Program, the first low bidder, Ramona, has pledged 11.95% for SBE, 11.95% MBE, 36.28 OBE, and 0% for WBE, EBE, and DVBE. The contractor has done due diligence and followed city procedures. However, due to the nature of this work, there are not many WBE, EBE subcontractors out there that can support this type of sewer work. Ramona Incorporated is a certified LBE and has complied with the mandatory subcontracting minimum of 25% by pledging a subcontractor participation of 49.91%. Therefore, staff recommends the board to award the SSRP Darrow 5 project to Ramona Incorporated, the lowest responsible bidder. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The low bid is, and the range is pretty wide, from $4.7 million that we're considering today to $7 million that was the high bid, yes. 27% over the city estimate to up to 89% over the city estimate. The 27% to over the 15 to 20% range that we typically won't ask a question about, but because we're in the 27% range, is this something that the Bureau has looked at and is still comfortable going forward? And is it the fact that we have a positive environmental, a positive economical environment right now out there that has resulted in the numbers that we're seeing now?
That is one, and besides that, the location of the project is in the expensive real estate area, closer to Bel Air, Beverly Hills. And also, 100% of the reaches are in backyards and hilly areas. So the cost of open cut, if necessary, is going to be very high. And sometimes the contractor has to dig by hand due to the tight spaces. All this resulted in the higher cost.
Okay. I would just indicate that I've also heard from some representatives of the community in Council District 5. They support this moving forward for more than one reason. Not only that they want this work done, but they're interested in some road paving that is on hold until this work gets done first, obviously, as well. Any other questions? Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James. Mary, thank you for this. You used the abbreviation 2 times DAR. Can you go ahead, because we like to make a public record, and you explained it just now, but can you go back and...
Apologize for that. DAR means difficult to access reaches.
DAR, and thus the higher cost, labor costs in terms of hand
Yes.
digging in residential areas, so it makes sense. So we should move this forward, get these done. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Jacinto one-upped me on that one and getting to those acronyms. Good job. No, you're exactly right. I try not to let that slip by. So Commissioner Jacinto 1 today. Commissioner James 0. All right. Any other questions? Commissioner Jacinto will make the motion that we adopt agenda item number 5. I'll second it. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 5. Thank you, ma'am. Any issue sending number 5 forthwith? We will send number 5 forthwith. Agenda item number 6. Council, it's a funding revision actually, citywide, super expedited wastewater emergency rehabilitation. This is a Sewers 6 project. The newer contract approved the revised funding table for the Sewers 6 contract to include the Sewer Capital Fund, number 761. It looks like we're just getting our fund designation accurate. David Ventura. Hi there.
Hi. Morning. David Ventura, Bureau of Engineering, Wastewater Construction Conveyance Division. I'm here to request a revision to the status funding for Sewer 6 contract. On October 18th, the board awarded the super expedited wastewater emergency rehabilitation for Sewer 6 contract. Contract was executed on November 3rd. Unfortunately, the funding for O&M was left off of this board report. So currently, some contractors will not be able to get paid by the Office of Accounting due to this account being left off. So I'm here to recommend that the board approve the status of funding revision for this contract.
Well, let's solve that problem. Any questions on that so we can get folks paid? Okay, I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 6, seconded by Commissioners Jacinto and Davis. Thank you, sir. Any objection? Without objection, we will adopt agenda item number 6. Any issue sending number 6 forthwith? We will send number 6 forthwith.
All right, thank you.
Agenda item number 7. Authority for Expenditure, Southern California Alliance of Publicly Owned Treatment Works. The Bureau of Sanitation and the Office of Accounting are requesting board approval on execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $50,000 to the Southern California Alliance of Publicly Owned Treatment Works for the 2017-2018 SCAP. That's the alliance name. Membership renewal. Stephen Nakato. Hello, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Steve Nikaido with the Regulatory Affairs Division, LA Sanitation. As stated, Sanitation is seeking approval for an authority for expenditure to pay the annual membership fees to SCAP, which is the Southern California Alliance of Publicly Owned Treatment Works, in the amount of $50,000 for the fiscal year of 2017-18. Couple of pieces of information. The SCAP itself, it's a regional nonprofit corporation, represents about 80 agencies across 7 counties in Southern California. Their mission statement is to provide leadership, technical assistance, and timely information promoting policies and regulations that focus on the sustainable protection of the environment and public health. So that lines up perfectly with the mission of sanitation. They work to ensure regulations affecting publicly owned treatment works, collection systems, and stormwater management agencies are reasonable in the public interest, at the same time, of course, balancing the needs of the environment. Two of sanitation's staff members serve on the committees, one for air quality and one for biosolids, and our general manager, Enrique Zaldivar, serves on the SCAP board of directors. We've been a member for over 25 years. SCAP has provided comments or made comments at meetings regarding regulations and other policy issues that may affect cities' operations with regards to its wastewater, our clean water, solid resources, and stormwater management programs. The fee schedule, I know you'd like to have this information, is based on the average daily flow. Sanitation happens to be in the highest bracket, so we are at $50,000. And the fee schedule has not changed since 2005, so it's been pretty stable.
You answered all of my questions. So
Happy to hear that.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions? Then I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 7, seconded by Commissioner Repenning and Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 7. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any issue sending number 7 forthwith? We will send agenda item number 7 forthwith. Agenda item number 9, specifications submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids. Council Districts 1, 9, 13, and 14. Dr. Tom Williams, you have a card in on number 9.
Yeah. Dr. Tom Williams from Northeast LA. Basic element were the neighborhood councils that were involved in
Dr.
this.
Tom Williams, hold on a minute. We're not going to let our new commissioner nominee leave the room before we embarrass her appropriately. Is that Commissioner B. Garcia? We saw that. What day is confirmation at council? Is it Wednesday? All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you then. All right. Thanks for coming in. No, not at all. It's all my fault. Dr. Tom Williams, we'll start your time over.
I did go
He's like, hey,
come on.
What happened to me here?
Mention the magic word neighborhood councils.
We'll start your time over. We have a new commissioner that's been appointed, and she's been approved through the committee and is going to full council next week. And I caught her in the back taking a photograph and wanted to appropriately embarrass her. So go right ahead, sir.
Okay. Dr. Tom Williams, Northeast LA, various organizations. Basically, we had 2 projects within 90032, which never contacted the neighborhood councils regarding where the sewers were going to be renewed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now we're talking about Eagle Rock and Highland Park. Please have the contractors and sanitation contact the neighborhood councils, at least notify them that these projects are going to occur within their neighborhood council area so that we can tell people what's happening and perhaps even when it's going to happen. There's also another comment. Oh, Bavan. Several items today were reflective of Bavan. That is specifications and things like that. The neighborhood councils and public do not have direct access to Bavan. I used to, but then a number was required. A number is not required for every citizen in the United States. Therefore, if you continue not having public access to Bavan to review documents, I will start doing Public Records Act requests for all documents in Bavan. So please make a correction. Provide either a general number which has no access to modifying or changing anything, and get it so it's publicly accessible, because it does act as a reasonable source of information. Zemus is open to everybody, so why not Pavan? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Regarding the project near Eagle Rock, and let me just properly call the item. It's for the Highland Park Eagle Rock Primary Sewer Rehabilitation Project. Bid receipt date March 28, 2018. Estimate $1,405,540. Dr. Williams, our representative from the Bureau, will let the adjacent neighborhood councils that have jurisdiction over the area receive notice of that. Thank you for pointing that out. That was on number 9. Let's go to agenda item number 3, Council District 13, tree removal, 330 North Westlake Avenue. Recommending that the board certify that the board has reviewed and considered the information in the mitigated negative declaration for the project at 330 North Westlake Avenue and find the information contained therein appropriately addresses the requested tree removals. Number 2, find that the project will not have a significant environmental effect under the above described mitigated negative declaration, as the imposition of the mitigation measures described in the M&D and incorporated herein as project conditions, and that there is no substantial evidence that the proposed project will have a significant effect on the environment pursuant to the city's environmental guidelines and is in compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act. Number 3, find that the project's conflict with any local ordinances or policies protecting biological resources, such as tree preservation policies or ordinances, is less than significant with the incorporation of mitigation measures 4-E as contained in the mitigated negative declaration. Number 4, adopt the M&D. Number 5, specify that the Bureau of Street Services, Urban Forestry Division, located at 1149 South Broadway, is the custodian of the documents or other material that constitute the record of proceedings upon which the board's decision is based. And number 6, approve the request for a fee tree removal permit for 3 Indian laurel fig trees and Mr. Tyson, are those ficus trees? Yes. And 1 queen palm tree, 2 bottle brush trees. Tree replacements are required. Mr. Tyson on number 3.
Thank you. Good morning, President James, Commissioners, Bureau Representatives, City Attorney, and Executive Officer. South Echo Apartments, LLC, is constructing a 202-unit residential condominium complex at 330 North Westlake Avenue as part of city planning case. Contained in the entitlements are Bureau of Engineering requirements, including street widening, driveway installation, and other related street improvements. Mr. Jorge Estrada, property owner's representative, applied to the Bureau of Engineering for a construction Class B permit to widen the street as part of the conditions to construct the project. The Bureau of Engineering informed Mr. Estrada the required street widening may necessitate street tree removals. Therefore, Mr. Estrada contacted the Bureau of Street Services. The Bureau arborist inspected the location on December 9, 2016 and on November 2, 2017. The inspection revealed 4 weeping bottle brush trees, 1 Mexican fan palm, and 1 carrotwood tree growing in the front of the address on North Westlake Avenue, 3 Indian laurel fig trees, and 1 queen palm tree growing on West Temple Street side, and 6 weeping bottle brush trees growing on the North Bonnie Bray Street. All trees are in poor to fair condition and are growing in 4-foot tree wells. Within the context of the letter of determination, the Bureau of Engineering condition of approval under Improvements 5C2 requires the developer to widen Temple Street from a 28-feet half roadway to a 35-feet half roadway. The 3 Indian laurel fig trees measuring approximately 30 inches in diameter by 45 feet in height, and 1 queen palm tree measuring approximately 16 inches in diameter by 30 feet in height are growing on West Temple Street. And they are located within the footprint of the proposed new roadway. one weeping bottlebrush tree, F3, growing in front of the address, and one weeping bottlebrush tree growing in the rear of the property on Bonnie Bray Street, measuring approximately 18 to 14 inches in diameter by 25 feet in height, are located within the 2 footprints of the proposed new driveways. Due to the scope of the project, the required street widening, driveway locations, and root pruning to allow the trees to remain without significantly and adversely affecting the tree's health and root structural integrity is not possible. Therefore, the required street widening driveway installations will require the removal of the 6 trees. Marisol Rodriguez, 13th Council District Office, was informed of the tree removal request on December 5th, 2017. Notice of the proposed tree removals were physically posted on the subject trees on December 9th, 2016, and again on November 2nd, 2017. Proposed tree removals were included in the Bureau of Street Services tree removal notification system, and the Community Forest Advisory Committee was also notified. Good thing is the applicant will be able to plant all 12 replants. They will be purple orchid trees on site if this is approved by the board today.
Thank you, Mr. Tyson. Let's go to our speaker on the item. Mr. Tyson, don't go too far. We may have additional questions for you. Dr. Tom Williams on agenda item number 3.
Dr. Tom Williams, defenders of ficus. One aspect regarding this, has the Community Forestry Advisory Committee been involved in this? Because there's a basic element, tree well or root well conditions. A real problem with the sidewalks has been there's no root barrier for ficus, and the only sand and water is often found under the pavement. So there's a real problem there. And CFAC has had tree well standards on their agenda for maybe 2 years, and nothing's ever come of it. So there's a basic problem there. You get a tree well standard so that when people are replacing them, we don't replace good ficus with bad ficus as the root balls. There's also a matter as to there's consideration of a tree replacement fee. Tree replacement fees should be fully developed so that the 3 years of, might say, maintenance is also included, along with replacements with barriers and such. So I'm quite concerned whenever somebody has the opportunity to use a fee, such as Quimby and a few others, and the actual implementation. So one question, would this be subject to fee compensation rather than replanting? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Commissioner Jacinto.
President James and
Mr.
colleagues.
Tyson, go ahead.
Yes, I actually want to disclose an interest as a former executive director of a nonprofit in CD13. Over 10 years ago, I was involved in the entitlement process of this property as a former Derby Bells North Dairy. And so I want to check in with our city attorney. That was 10 years ago.
So should we could do one of two things. I understand, I don't know if the timing of that is, Ted. I don't know if we should therefore continue the item to enable Commissioner Jacinto to fill out a recusal form, or if Commissioner Jacinto should just leave the room, or if he can vote on it.
Well, talk about a curveball.
Good morning, Ted.
I think we really would need a little bit of time to take a look at that. It would not take very much time. Of course, we want to get sort of more information from the commissioner.
Okay.
If this approval is, my understanding this is the first time this particular project has been before the board?
Yes, I would be inclined to continue it 1 week with no additional comment, and count this as the public hearing, so that there is no additional commentary a week from today.
That would be my preference as well.
Okay.
So, and at that time, we can provide advice if necessary offline, and if the commissioner is required to recuse himself, we would then assist in that process as well.
Okay.
In which case, the commissioner, if there is a recusal, would not be participating in any further action on that.
Understood.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioners.
And I will also provide the forms to Commissioner Jacinto, the CEC Form 51, if it's necessary.
Yeah, only if necessary, though.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, it may not be, we don't know. So we'll make that determination. So anything further on this item while we have the public hearing happening? Okay, so that will close the public hearing on agenda item number 3. Agenda item number 3, Mr. Tyson, will be continued a week from today. You don't need to be here if you weren't planning to. Otherwise, Mr. Banuelos can be here if necessary, since we're not going to take any further hearing on it, other than just the issue of the recusal, which the city attorney and Commissioner Jacinto will resolve. Okay? So that'll be the order on agenda item number 3.
So that would be for next Friday, February 16th.
Yes. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. President, on item number 10, there's been a request also to continue that item. It's an oral presentation from the Office of Community Beautification. A continuance for 1 week to next Friday, February 16th is also requested.
That's fine. Did that come from the office?
That's coming from me.
Oh, from you?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then I don't know. We may have to debate that. And of course, that'll be the order then on agenda item number 10. That's the, although let's call number 10 real quick since we're going to continue it. Dr. Williams is here. He wanted to say something about it. Dr. Williams, you want to speak on number 10? We'll take the general public comment on number 10. So next week, it'll be just the oral report. Dr. Campos. Dr. Williams, go ahead.
Dr. Williams, I will be back next week too.
Oh, okay.
But anyway.
Well, you can speak on it this week or next week. What would you like to do?
Okay, I'll speak now.
Go ahead.
I'm here. The Office of Community or Beautification did a great job in El Sereno. They provided us with equipment, and we provided 25 to 50 people to spread mulch. We spread 500 cubic yards of mulch. And that was with the equipment supplied to us from Public Works to beautification. So we highly recommend anything that they want to do to beautify 90032. We'll be very happy to try to help with and get people out. And it gives Public Works a much better light than sewer rehabilitation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams, and it's good you'll be here next week to hear the report because we'll have the head of OCB here who can answer any of your additional questions along those lines. So you'll note that for the agenda, Dr. Campos, that public hearing was held on that today?
Absolutely, yes.
Great, thank you. So that'll continue agenda item number 10. We only have agenda item number 4 left, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Agenda item number 4 is a continued item from a couple of weeks ago, January 26th, 2018. Agenda item number 4, Council District 13, Bureaus of Contract Administration and Engineering, Contract Acceptance, Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD's new Northeast Area Police Station project, recommending that the board accept the contract. Number 2, assess liquidated damages of $54,882.81 for non-compliance of the local apprentice hiring requirements and instruct the Director of the Office of Accounting to disencumber the recommended liquidated damages in the amount of $54,882.81 from the project fund. I have a speaker card from Sam Laham as well. I have Mr. Jensen from the Bureau of Contract Administration. Gentlemen, what I would like to do, if possible, is to not have a rehash of the hearing that we had, although we need a little bit of a review to bring us up to date. So why don't you bring us up to date with a summary, Mr. Jensen? I know there was an inquiry that we had on some confusion regarding whether or not there was an available apprenticeship program, and we were dealing with cement masons,
Yes.
and yeah. So why don't you bring us up to speed, and then we'll go from there. Thank you.
Good morning. Chris Jensen with the Bureau of Contract Administration. There is only one issue here. Bernard's subs failed to employ local apprentices, as they are required to do by the terms of the contract and the PLA. When we were here 2 weeks ago, Bernard's claimed that one of the apprenticeship programs had ceased operation, and because of that, one of their subs was unable to get the apprentices they needed. That argument caused a lot of confusion, but really it had nothing to do with the issues. In fact, the laborers did discontinue their Mason Tender program back in 2013. That was well before this project began. Despite that, the masonry subcontractor, Masonry Concepts, did employ apprentices. They had 931 hours of apprentice time on their payrolls, but only 375 of those hours were local apprentices. It's well below half. Whether they employed apprentices or not is not the issue. The issue is that on this project, Bernard's failed to do what they said they would do, what they were obligated to do, and ensure that at least half of the apprentices that actually worked on the project would be local hire apprentices. Bernard's apparently did not perform any of the work on this project themselves. This was a missed opportunity for them to contribute to the local apprentice effort. When we repeatedly suggested to them that they should employ a jobs coordinator, they did not. When we informed them, again repeatedly, that their local apprentice numbers had dropped below the required levels, they could have compelled their subs to release their non-local apprentices, or Bernard's could have brought in their own workers. They did not. And when we attempted to reach out and help them to come up with a resolution, they told us they saw no reason for a meeting and delayed meeting with us for months. In the past 2 weeks, at your request, I've gone through the files very diligently, carefully reviewed also what Mr. Delgadillo had sent to me 3 days ago. I've found one thing again and again and again. In a cover letter attached to each subcontractor's employment hiring plan, they all say, this is to certify that the undersigned contractor or subcontractor has read and understood the project labor agreement. The second point that every one of those employment hiring plans contains is the statement, I'll quote, I understand that the unions shall be the primary source of all craft labor on the project. If the unions are unable to fulfill the requisition based on the timeline in the PLA, I am free to obtain workers from any source. It concludes, I understand that I am still responsible for complying with the conditions of the targeted hiring goals set forth in the PLA and policy. Every subcontractor wrote that they would contact the unions, and if the unions couldn't give them the apprentices they needed, they would go elsewhere. They would contact work source centers or job centers or whatever source they wanted to go to get workers. Apparently, only 2 of them actually did that. Not having a jobs coordinator really limited this effort. A couple of the subs actually wrote to Bernard's and said they could not go outside of they could not go to an outside source because their union agreement would not allow it. Now, the project labor agreement supersedes the union agreement. It was constructed with the participation of the unions, and their union reps signed it. It specifically allows a union company to set aside the master labor agreement to get the workers they need for one of our projects if the union does not have those workers. As I mentioned, it appears that 2 of their subcontractors did try to reach out with very limited success. Actually, one did not succeed at all, but they did appear to try to reach out and bring in outside workers. Bernard's has told you that they couldn't get the apprentices they needed. That's really not the issue. They had apprentices. For whatever reason, the subs chose to use the non-local ones rather than the local ones. Apex Plastering is a good example of that. They had 8 apprentices, 4 were local, 4 were non-local. The local apprentices worked 156 hours. The non-local worked 351. One other example, Harris Rebar had 6 local apprentices who worked 110 hours. They also had 15 non-local apprentices who worked 235 hours. In the last meeting, Commissioner Repenning said she did not think that Bernard's actions were malicious in any way. I agree with her completely. I do not think this was anything like that. I also agree with Sam Laham when he twice said that he had lost control of the project. Bernard's did not have control of their subs. I started out 2 weeks ago by saying that up until this project was nearly 80% complete, Bernard's was making that requirement. They were at or above 50%. Our office put significant effort into trying to get them to where they were supposed to be through phone calls, emails, letters, meetings, and attempted meetings. We cautioned Bernard's that they were not in compliance with the contract and the PLA. Their actions indicate that they did not appreciate the seriousness of the matter at the time. I believe they do now.
Mr. Jensen, a couple of things come to memory. One, weren't they 47%?
That's correct.
They
yes.
were 3% off.
3%, very close.
Really small.
Yes.
And was there a delay issue that we had a question of in the last hearing?
Not that affected what we do.
Okay.
Mr. Lamb brought that up, but not that affected us.
Okay, so I guess where I am, and we'll hear from Mr. Laham, I feel like I agree with what I've heard from my colleagues in the prior hearing. I don't think that a $54,000 penalty, liquidated damage, what's that based on? How do we get to that number?
That is based on the...
I know it's in the board report, but I want the record to reflect it.
It's the number of apprenticeship hours that they were short. It worked out to 110 days, work days.
And you penalize them per day.
Right, based on a dollar amount that's in the PLA.
I feel like, and Mr. Jordan, we have the ability to, in other words, write this down, correct? Meaning reduce it?
Yeah, this is at the discretion of the board. Reduce it, eliminate it, not increase it, but yes.
I think $54,000 is too high.
It's within your discretion.
My recommendation would be to reduce it. However, I do want to put on the record before I hear from anybody else who wants to speak that, as Mr. Jensen has indicated, the work, and we'll hear from Mr. Laham, the work, by not getting to the 50%, it did require our Bureau and our staff to take time off of other projects to try and get them to the 50%. Is that correct?
That's very correct, yes. Significant amount of time.
So it does take staff time, and that's why I think a penalty of some number is warranted, but I don't think it's $54,000. Colleagues, we'll hear from you, and then Mr. Laham from Bernard's also has a speaker card in as well, so he'll have his time. Commissioner Davis?
Did you say that we had some issue of confusion about the Masons, and there was some accusation about contacting the union and unclarity from the Bureau of Contract Administration about whether or not the Masons, in fact, did exist during that period of time? What was the report and the finding on that again? I mean, you said a lot of stuff. I just want to be clear if the Masons were in place or not.
Mr. Laham brought up that he said the Masons no longer had a program, or they had discontinued their program, which didn't make any sense to me because I'd been to their program. I know it exists. I did a lot of research and talked to a lot of people, and there was a small portion of the laborers training program that specifically related to mason tenders. They no longer have that portion of their program.
And so that was the portion that he was speaking of.
That's correct.
That's what I wanted. Thank you for the answer. That's
very
what I
small
wanted.
portion.
But I don't care how small it was. I just want to be clear if it was out of business or not. And the answer to my question is yes, it was. And that's what I wanted to hear. Yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Davis. Mr. Laham?
Morning, President, Commissioners. Thank you for being here and to hear us. And in fact, Jeff Bernards himself wanted to be here, but unfortunately he's got a family leave due to medical reason. He couldn't be here today. And I wanted to just let everyone know that irrespective of the few things that we've kind of gone through in terms of not being able to meet the minimum requirements, that's not a reason for us. I mean, we've always been a very good contractor for the City of LA. We want to continue to work for the City of LA. And in fact, we get a lot of solicitations for work that the city would love to work with Bernard specifically, because we treat the city as a client for us. We never look at it as a hard bid mentality, or I mean, it's like a partnership, and 99% of our work is considered, is a referral and phone calls from Mr. Allen or Fernando or Hanno and anybody that I've interacted with, and just in the past, just so you guys know, we've done, and I know this is a new system for us, and I can promise you, I'm standing here today, I'll never be coming here and talking about this ever again, because we will meet the minimum. It was a new program, and the Northeast Police Stations was a pilot on that program, so we didn't have our arms around all of it, and I can tell you I agree with that. It was just a new thing, because in the past, when it didn't have the local apprentice of 50%, we've done the Metro Detention Center project, and the Valley Bomb Squad, and the Metro Bomb Squad, and the Olympic Police facilities. We've always met every single requirements, and in fact, even on this one, we've really tried. But I can tell you, I think we've got the formula right on moving forward. That some of the trades that may not be able to meet the requirements, but you know what we need to do? We need to incentivize some of the bigger trades and push them harder to exceed it by much further margins, so we can be able to meet the requirements. So I can tell you, I stand here in front of all of you. You'll never see me standing here again, because I will not meet these requirements. It's just not going to happen, and that's a promise from me, promise from our CEO Jeff Bernards. And I just ask for your concessions, just as a good contractor, that anybody that worked with us would consent to that, and would attest to our relationship and how we treat him and treat everybody. It's just this is a big deal for us, and I want to leave here today knowing that the city is happy with us. So thank you. That's all I have.
Commissioner Davis.
I appreciate your follow-up with us today, and I don't know if the rest of my colleagues have any opinion, but I don't have any problems with Bonner in terms of thus far. You have presented to us, you have given us an account of what has occurred, and it's nothing in the account that you have given us that I find to be untrue. And if I stand corrected by my colleagues, so be it, but I don't see anything there. And as I look at your performance with us on other projects, I haven't seen anything on those yet either. The only concern I would have would be, just in general, have you had any problems in achieving diversity in the past, to your knowledge, in terms of working with us on contracts?
Not at all, and in fact, this is why it's a bit embarrassing for us, because we can do better. I know I can do better, and I can tell you honestly, on all of the projects that I mentioned in the past, we've always exceeded these. And
well,
even
let me
on
just
this,
simply
even on
say
this,
to you,
even on this one, we've exceeded the other ones because we're
Sure.
familiar with it, and except that the apprentice local hire was just a new thing. It's only been out for about 8 months, but I can tell you, we know what we're going to do on the next one. We're just going to have to exceed it in other trades and do it up front during our buyout process with these guys, and knowing that we can do a lot more with them. And this is what we do, and that's why I know that city will always want to come back to us, because we perfect everything else. Why can't we perfect this?
Well, I agree with Commissioner Repenning. I don't believe, again, that you were malicious. That's just my point of view from what I have observed. And I know that you know that compliance is important to us, not only here in labor, but it's important to us in other areas, such as minority business compliance and small business and women business compliance. We are equally passionate about compliance with our prime contractors. So I just wanted to go on the record to say that I believe you, and particularly as we have now gotten the answer to the earlier testimony that you gave us and discovered that the facts that you presented to us were true. So I appreciate that, and certainly, again, compliance is critically important here, and we try to call it like we see it. We don't try to take sides. We try to just move the ball forward so we can continue to work on behalf of the citizens of Los Angeles. So again, I just wanted to make sure that I made it crystal clear about my observations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. I don't see any additional lights. Let me put a motion on the table and tell you what I'm what I'm thinking, and see if I can draw a second here. And Mr. Lamb, you can have a seat, sir. Thank you, sir. Mr. Jensen, thank you to you and your team for the additional work. It's very clear, and it's clear from the message from Bernard's, that we all agree on the importance of our project labor agreements on these projects. And we very much value our partners in labor, obviously. For that reason, we can't, I don't believe that we should expunge the proposed penalty in its entirety. But because of all of the testimony that's been put before us, I would recommend, as I indicated before, a reduction. And it's a significant reduction because the contractor was close to the number. They were 3% away from the number. So my proposed penalty, and it's a liquidated damages, and it takes that 3 and multiplies it by 10, so that they are paying 30%. They were 3% away, but they're paying 30%. That's a justification for the 30%. The dollar figure is, unless I've, and I did this in my head, but it's, and a little bit of pen and paper here, but I think it's about $16,464 is what they would pay out of the $54,000. So they're paying 30% of the $54,882.81. Am I close, Dr. Campos? Test me against the machine.
16,464 approximately.
That's what I said. Yeah. Okay. How about that? If I could learn how to use the calculator on my phone, I would be better off. I don't know how to use that one, but so in all seriousness, and I know that it's more than Mr. Laham and Bernard's would think they ought to pay here, but I also know that it's less than the Bureau thinks we ought to assess. It's a compromise. It would be more if they weren't so close. And we don't have any indication, both sides have agreed there was no maliciousness here, and we want our relationship to continue. But the reason it is 30% and it is almost $16,500 is because achieving these goals are important to us. So that's the justification for the numbers that I have proposed in my motion. I don't know if anybody wants to comment or if there's a second on it. Seconded by Commissioners Davis, Repenning, and Jacinto. So that'll be the order. Without objection, any issue sending it forthwith, we will send it forthwith. Thank you, everybody, for your participation.
Mr. President, just
Yes.
before the final roll
so
call
we need
of
to
this,
do the
just
procedural stuff.
Some
Yep.
procedural stuff in terms of the motion is to adopt the report as amended,
Right.
reducing the liquidated damages by 30 or down to 30% to $16,464. modifying or amending recommendation number 3 to disencumber the full amount for $54,882.81 and then release the $16,464 to Bernard Brothers, and then the remaining amount gets retained by the city. Did I capture that correctly?
No, I don't know. I don't think so.
Or is it the other way around?
Yeah, what we're doing is the $16,464 is the amount that the city's keeping. That's the penalty that Bernard's is paying to the city. So if we're holding the $54,882, then the balance is what goes back to Bernard's. The city's keeping the liquidated damage amount.
Thank you for that clarification. So that is recommendation number 2 would be modified or amended to assess the liquidated damages of $16,464. Recommendation number 3 would be modified to disencumber the full amount and then release the $38,418.81 to Bernard Brothers and then retain the $16,464 for the city.
Correct.
Thank you for that clarification.
And colleagues, we're all square on that, right? Okay. Yes, that's our intent. Okay?
Thank you.
And in addition, I do want to put on the record, I may have said it, but I don't remember. Part of the assessment too is to compensate, as I'd asked Mr. Jensen, for the staff time that it took. That was, my initial number, just on the penalty itself, was a little lower. But because of the staff time that it took, I added that into our calculation. And I just wanted the record to reflect that. That's how we got to the 30%. So with that, it'll be, that's the order. It will be sent forthwith. Thank you, everyone, for your participation across the board. Dr. Campos, have we cleared the desk this morning?
Yes, you have.
Okay, then we are adjourned, everyone. Have a nice weekend.